Hi guys, Matt Easton here, Scholar Gladiatoria. So, last time I did a video about this topic, the first teaser trailer for the new Star Wars film had gone up, and the internet had gone absolutely crazy because of this lightsaber, this crossguard. And I tried to mount a valiant defence of this crossguard on a whole wide range of topics, but essentially there were people saying this crossguard, you're going to cut your own hands off, you're going to cut your arms open, it doesn't make sense, basically people were just hating on it completely because it didn't fit with their standard idea of what a lightsaber was supposed to look like. So I've got something to say now, so here we go. The second video, the second version of the trailer has just gone up a couple of nights ago, and so it gives us a bit more information to work with about this lightsaber. First of all, we now know it's not a gimmick for the lightsaber. It's not a special move or special attack. Here we see the thing in use in standard attacks. Okay, and you'll notice that the crossguard, he's not cutting his own arms off with it. That's, I say he, of course it could be a she, we don't know at this point, but the person, we assume it to be some kind of Sith, or bad guy at least, is not cutting their own arms off with the crossguard. As mentioned before, you don't hit yourself with your own crossguard the whole time when you're using a sword. But the main point I want to make in this video is that there is development in weapons. It doesn't matter whether it's a lightsaber or a gun or a cannon, okay? The fact is that weapons evolve, weapons develop, and so we come through, we've accepted that is what this lightsaber is like. We've also mentioned, I mentioned in the video about, it was a bit strange that the base of the crossguard seems to be made of something metallic, could be obviously something else, and how would that work? But of course, various people who know far more details about the Star Wars universe than me pointed out it could be made of, I believe it's called cortosis, or various Mandalorian types of metal, Mandalorian iron I think it is. So there are various ways that the base of those blades, or crossguard in this case, could be constructed, and if an opponent's blade did somehow come down to the base, they wouldn't chop through it. So if we come through here, so the point I want to make is that there is evolution in all weapons, and especially so in swords. What I've got behind me here is a range of bronze swords, and you'll notice these bronze swords do not have big crossguards on them. They didn't have big crossguards. In fact, a lot of swords used in conjunction with shields simply didn't need big guards on them. Yes, we know lightsabers are not used with shields. However, the basic point remains that there is evolution in weapons, and of course we're talking about a Star Wars film now which is set later. It's set after the age of, the classic Jedi Order is gone. It's a new age, new development, new things can happen, okay? So we come on Iron Age, again there weren't really decent guards on swords, and we've got some Roman gladiuses here, famous for not having big guards on them. They don't need them, they're used in conjunction with a large shield. They're also fairly short-bladed swords, but the fact is they do not have a big handguard. We come through what's known as the migration era, and we get to Viking period swords. Viking period swords equally do not have big handguards on them. However, as we get into the more classic medieval period, so after the Norman conquest, we get in the 11th and 12th century, we get swords like this, okay, with crossguards on them, and it's to do with the evolution of the sword as a weapon, the way it's used, okay, perhaps being used more often without a shield, more often by itself. In order to become a better weapon used by itself, it developed this long crossguard, and ultimately this develops into later side sword rapier guards with all extra rings and knuckle bows and extra things to protect your hand, and ultimately to the basket hilt, okay? So the crossguard developed to protect the hand better. It makes good sense. And I just had a joke here with the fencing treatise of Hans Talhofer. As you can see, these crossguards are performing very useful role in fencing, in fighting sword on sword. The crossguard is very important, okay? Now it doesn't matter whether you're a Sith or a Jedi or a normal muggle like you or me, the fact is that a crossguard is a good thing to have. Obviously, if you are a Sith or a Jedi, you can probably train yourself to not hit yourself with your own crossguard, so let's just dispel with that stupid objection. But the fact is that a guard, if you're fighting someone who is potentially of equal skill to you, then a crossguard gives you an edge. It gives you an advantage. It doesn't matter how skilled or how magical your powers are and how magical the other person's powers are. The fact is, if you have a weapon that gives you a slight advantage, then you take it, okay? So going back to this lightsaber, he or she is not going to chop their own arms off with their guard, okay? It doesn't happen. Us people who use medieval swords often in fencing, we do not spend our whole time hitting ourselves with our guards. If you even just, you're scared of even touching the guard, you just hold it further away from the guard, okay? It's not a problem. And also, of course, as I mentioned, this now gives him or her an advantage, okay? That is an advantageous thing to have. And you know what? This, just as on a medieval sword, this is not only a handguard, it can be used offensively. You can punch someone with it, you can jam it into someone's neck or into their eye socket if you come up close to them. It is a useful thing, and you know what? That's even more useful because that's going to do even more damage than this does. There we go, guys. Some things to think about. Cheers!